I am at the 2024 LA Auto Show, and Genesis has just taken the wraps off of the brand new 2026 Genesis GV70. The gas-powered version is behind me. I'm also going to be covering the electric version as well. So let's dive in and see what Genesis has done to this GV70. All right, so there's two trims of the GV80, the gas and the electric version. Most of the changes I'm going to mention here apply to both models, and there are some specific details that apply to each one, and I'll cover them here in a second. But let's start off with the gas-powered GV70. Things that have changed are the new Genesis logo up on the hood here. So this is a more three-dimensional look for the Genesis logo. Next, let's step back because the front fascia has been revised as well. We see a new G-Matrix grille, as Genesis calls it, and I like it a lot. It's very bold and pleasing to look at. Next, the headlights have also changed. Even though it's a very subtle change, there is a new running light that runs across the split headlight design that is very popular amongst the Genesis lineup. Now we come around to the side. There is the side profile of the GV70, and let me come a little closer and highlight these new wheels. The standards come with 19 inches, and there is an option for 21-inch wheels. These are those optional 21-inch wheels. They are a gunmetal finish. They do have these stripes which kind of signify and look very close to what Dodge does on the Challenger and the RT badge. And there is a Genesis branded brake caliper along the side. Now this paint color I want to highlight is very metallic. It's kind of gray, but there are hints of blue in it and some tints of maybe even purple. But yeah, it is pretty cool looking. Right now, turning the corner and looking at the back end, the taillights have been slightly modified, but it's extremely subtle, much like the front. It mostly looks like the 2025 model. The big difference are the exhaust tips here, and the exhaust muffler itself is actually tucked inside of here, but it gives it a nice polished chrome finish around the tip area. Right now, let's step inside, and I remember seeing the GV70 last year, and the interior was so impressive, and it continues here with the orangish stitching running basically all throughout this interior. Look at how cool this seat looks with the orange stitching. You've got the orange seat belt here, cross quilted stitching with the orange and black all along the seat. Very impressive and luxurious looking interior. And let's talk about the big difference on the inside, and that is this 27-inch OLED curved screen. And the impressive thing about it, notice it is a seamless screen. There is no I guess divider here. It's not two screens. It's actually a one-piece screen that pans all across the dashboard. And speaking of the dashboard, I think it's nicely mounted. It's not sticking out like an eyesore. It blends in nicely as a 27-inch screen can on top of a dashboard. But overall, it's very impressive to look at. Now, the other thing, there are no physical push-down type buttons to control the infotainment and the air conditioning. Everything is basically haptic feedback. There is some feedback that comes through in terms of pushing it. There are knobs, so there is a slight balance of haptic feedback and physical buttons. The start-stop controller is beautiful. It's got a nice metal finish to it. This does have a nice carbon fiber-ish looking trim piece. Nice, no piano black plastic. And this is a drive mode selector and beautiful crystal glass style control knob for the infotainment system up there, and another one for the transmission controller. The weird thing is this infotainment controller and the transmission controller, you can see they're mounted basically very close to each other, and they're practically the same size. So I would imagine if you're not looking, you might be confusing one for the other, and hopefully there's a method that I'm not recognizing here that will help you distinguish between these two knobs. Overall, in the front area, I would say I'm really impressed with the quality and the feel of this interior. In terms of the seat, it's nice and comfortable. I have plenty of room on top of me. I also have plenty of legroom as well. It's a decent size front passenger compartment. Now let's jump to the back seats and see what's going on there. All right, now let's take a look at the back seats. The cross stitching and the beautiful leather continues back here. Pretty luxurious looking interior, even on the back seats. I fit in here just fine. I have plenty of headroom. I also have plenty of legroom. I would say 3 adults might be able to squeeze in here. 3 children will be just fine. So it's a decent space, and as you would expect for this size of car. But again, I maintain that this is a very luxurious feeling car in the back seats here, rival to any German auto manufacturer, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus. Obviously they're not German, but along the luxury automotive brands. All right, now let's cover the engine details, which haven't changed, but let's cover them nonetheless. This one here is equipped with a 3.5 liter V6 that has 375 horsepower. There is also a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that pumps out 300 horsepower. So these are basically the options that you'll get underneath the hood of the GV70. Now let's jump over into the electric and see what's going on with that one. All right, so this is the electric version of the GV70. And basically what I mentioned about the exterior for the gas-powered version behind it apply to this one as well. So now let's talk about the real changes, and that's with the battery. The outgoing one had a 77 kilowatt-an-hour battery. This new one has a 84 kilowatt-an-hour battery. The range has not been confirmed, but the anticipation and the expectation is that given that this does have the bigger battery, it should get a little bit better range. And the outgoing model had 236 miles of range, so hopefully it should better that. Now, there are no power figures confirmed yet. And another big thing is the charging port. Check this out. So look at where this has been disguised. So here's the button to open it, and it is an electric charging port. And notice the charging port is now the NACS style default, which is essentially the Tesla charger, or the Tesla charging port, as opposed to the CCS chargers that most of the non-Tesla cars have been exposed to or have been equipped with. And this also closes electronically as well. Really nice touch and disguise. The interior for the electric model is pretty much the same. This is a different trim level, and obviously white leather here, a little bit less sporty, but there is still cross stitching on the seats, still very, very luxurious looking. And there is this blue lights. They're not really coming through, but this is a unique touch to the electric version. So that's the electric and gas-powered versions of the 2026 GV70. Genesis says that both of these should be available sometime next year. There are no pricing details available yet, but they should be released here in the near future. So if you got any questions about these two cars, please make sure you leave me a comment down below or send me a message on Instagram @DriveSteady. If you're interested in my coverage of the LA Auto Show, here's some other videos for you to watch. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. Until next time, drive steady.